Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we're talking about the Slava, and yes, the title is my opinion, and that is that Slava is not as broken as it's made out to be. So this is also going to kind of function as the second impressions review for the Slava. I originally was going to have this video out much sooner, but after I played the Slava for the first impressions review, if you haven't watched that video, please go check it out. I go over all the stats, the armor, and the gun characteristics of the Slava, so please go check that out, then come back here so you can have a bit better idea of what I'm talking about. But in that video, if you watched it, you should recall that I summed up my first 5 games of the Slava as the first game I did almost 200,000 damage, which I was like, okay, yep, this is the Slava, it's kind of borked. After that, the second, third, fourth, and fifth game were actually kind of mediocre. I had 2 games where I only did 80,000 and 90,000 damage because the matches didn't really go for that long, and ships weren't showing me their broadsides, which meant I had to relegate to HE spam because we'll get to that in a moment. In the last game I did about 120,000 damage. I had a bit more broadside shown to me that I could take advantage of, and I racked up a pretty decent amount of damage, and I think 2 kills by the end of the match. So, the reason those 2 matches were so low in damage were a couple of reasons. First off, the matches only lasted like 8 minutes. So, naturally, when you have matches that are going for under half the time that matches are set for, yeah, you're not going to do as much damage as you normally would. But also, in those matches, the ships simply didn't show me broadside. The enemy ships, they were smart. They were either angled or bow in, or staying undetected while they were on the flank that I was on, and I simply couldn't do the damage. And that's the thing with Slava. It is incredibly easy to counter this thing and just ruin its day. All you have to do is not show broadside, because its gimmick is entirely in its AP. It gives up so much to have that fantastic Soviet AP and have the highest pins in the game. And yes, you heard me right. These 16-inch Soviet guns have better pins than the Shikishima's 20-inch guns and the Yami's 18-inch guns. That's how crazy the ship's AP is. But it has to give up its armor, its health, its damage con gimmick, and it has 1 less charge of heals too. The survivability of the Slava is absolutely garbage. Granted, you won't really need it since you'll be playing in the back most of the time, but that also means that its bow armor, by the way, is only 25 millimeters if you didn't know, which means that 15-inch shells can pin the Slava's bow armor. So the Siegfried can pin the Slava's bow armor. Now, there is some, little Russian bias going on the inside that I do agree is kind of stupid. There's some armor boxes behind the nose, which basically guarantees you're never going to citadel this thing through the nose, but it will eat pins through the nose. Again, go check out the first impressions video where I break that down for you. But at the end of the day, the Slava we have now is a far, far, far cry from the Slava we used to have, the Pobeda. And it's because of the Pobeda and all those crazy clips of the CCs and streamers just doing absolutely crazy things with the Pobeda that the Slava has the reputation that it has today. And it's really not that bad. If you are paying attention to your surroundings like you should, and not showing broadside to the enemy team like you should, the Slava isn't going to wreck your day. You'll actually ruin his day and just relegate him to just HE spamming in the back of the map. Which, yeah, it's still kind of good for that because of the gimmick. And for those of you that don't know, the gimmick is the further away from the target that you are, the better the dispersion. Which means when you're firing at Slava's maximum range, you basically don't have any dispersion, because whatever pattern the shells exit the guns in, that's pretty much the same pattern that they are going to impact the target. And that's kind of crazy. I do have an issue with that. You know, it's promoting back of the line camping, which I don't think the game really needs right now. And don't get me wrong, I don't like this ship. This is the exact opposite playstyle that I enjoy doing. I hate sitting in the back of the map. I hate camping. I hate sniping. I want to be in close. I want to be having fun and brawling. I hate this thing. But it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. And another thing, too, is that it's kind of rare. You have to get it through the research bureau. And, I mean, playing the Slava, the way matchmaking works now, it's supposed to try and match you up against an identical ship, so i.e. the Slava. I really don't run into that many, even in the, I don't know how many game matches I've had in this thing by now. In the 20 or 30 matches I've had in this thing, playing it for a review, maybe 14, 13 of those matches I ran into another Slava. Granted, I do play at kind of weird times because of my job and all, so there is that going on, but it's kind of a rare ship. But it's not really this insane Russian bias machine that people make it out to be. Russian bias to me has always just kind of been a meme. There's bias ships in every nation in the game that I could point out. I've pointed them out before, but people still say, oh, it's Russian bias, it's a Russian company. Like, okay, I get it's a meme, but some people take it too far. But there are some Russian ships that have big issues, but there's a whole lot of other ships that have big issues, like the Thunderer. The Thunderer, in my opinion, is way more broken than the Slava. But people aren't enraged about it like they are the Slava. Like, a Thunderer can absolutely crap on a Slava. And the Slava can barely do anything in return to the Thunderer. Because Thunderer has its insane British HE, its insane accuracy on its main battery guns, a much faster reload than the Slava. And plus the Thunderer could just not even use its HE and still take a dump on the Slavo because it's got 27mm guns, and the Slava's nose armor is only 25mm, and all of its side and deck armor have been decreased as well. So, I mean, yeah, Thunderer doesn't even have to use its main gimmick to take a dump on the Slava. And also, in my opinion, OG Kremlin was much of a bigger problem than the Slava. OG Kremlin, for those of you that don't remember, when Kremlin first came out, that thing was beyond broken. You had Russian 18-inch guns that could reliably hit targets at 20 kilometers, and that was the exact opposite of what the Kremlin was supposed to be. The Kremlin was supposed to be this close-in fighter that had absolute garbage dispersion at long range, so 20 kilometers, its maximum range. But for some reason, when the ship came out, it was much more accurate than it was supposed to be at 20 kilometers. And with just one or two shells connecting, it was absolutely deleting cruisers and battleships. And now that it's kind of been hammered back into its proper place by wargaming, it's not as big of an issue as it used to be. It's still a very strong ship. It's very much a great tank, but it's really only effective from about 14 kilometers in now. So it's much, much worse than it used to be, but it is now its original role, a close-in tank. So the Slava, it's really kind of a meh ship to me. One, because I don't like the playstyle. Two, because it's really, 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 really situational. You have to have enemies that slip up and show you their broadside in order for you to punish them. And yeah, cruisers are a bit more susceptible to it because certain cruisers, their armor layout, even if they're angled correctly, 16-inch can still get in there and wreck their day. But against other battleships, if you angle correctly, you can forget about the Slava. Because what's it going to do? You angle correctly against it. It only has 16-inch guns. It tries to hit your citadel. You bounce its shells. You laugh at it. You load AP. Every single tier 10 BB can pin the nose of the Slava, including the Burgon. So you laugh at it. You smack it in its nose with your AP shells. You get probably about 10k salvos off of its nose. It cries. It goes undetected. It sits in the back of the map. It just starts to HE spam. And then your carrier can come and absolutely wreck its day because this thing's absolutely massive. It's the Kremlin hull. It's huge. Richthofen can absolutely take a dump on this thing. This is actually, from me playing the Richthofen, one of the easiest ships to get those triple citadel hits on because it's so massive. So, yeah, and even though it does have better AA, I mean, AA is still current AA, it's all over the place. So it can't really do much. And then if a destroyer sinks up on this thing, you're dead. You're just dead. Because, one, the pins are so good. If you even get all three of your turrets on target, you're going to rail him for sure, but you're not going to kill him because you're going to overpin the absolute crap out of him. And it's less maneuverable than the Kremlin. It's much, much slower than the Kremlin. So, yeah, it's a mess ship in my opinion, especially what you have to do to get to it. You have to reset lines and get 63,000 Research Bureau points in order to get this thing. Plus, it's virtually useless in competitive settings because it's a battleship that can't tank at all. So, in random battles, it's a good potato punisher. I mean, for those of you that see me play it on stream, you guys know if someone slips up and shows you their broadside, you're going to slap the absolute crap out of them. Whereas, look at the Munich just can't. Oh, this looks good, boys. Oh, 30k off of the Goliath. Speaking of glory, oh my god. Please. Yep, there we go. Sail broadside to half the team in order to get blapped in a cruiser. With the CV, it's a much different story. And there we go, another 24k off of the Goliath. Goliath, the only cruiser that you can farm AP damage off of. Teaching them to angle. Speaking of not angling. Oh my god. Just got removed for 52k. The man is selling so slow, it may throw off my shots. But for players that know what they're doing, know how to angle, what can you do to them? You're gonna have to load HE, try to burn them, and that's about all you can do. And plus, when you get to the point to where you have to load HE and just burn your way through the enemy team, you need time to be able to do anything really too. And if the match doesn't last long, if it's one of those 6, 7, 8 minute matches, you're not going to get a lot of damage in. So all in all, Slava, very, very, very much a shadow of its former self, of its Pobeda days. Not the crazy ship that people are making it out to be. Definitely not a game-breaking ship. Is it good for the game? Absolutely not. It's still promoting backline sniping gameplay, which is the last thing the game needs right now. We need more ships and more mechanics that encourage people to push in, get in close to the target, stop staying in the back, stop staying in these clumps in the back. We need more stuff like that, not stuff like this. And I don't like it. So that's my spiel on Slava. It's all my opinion. I'm sure many of you are going to disagree with me, but hey, that's what I think. That's my honest opinion. I'll be lying to you if I said anything else. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. Let me know what you think. I'm sure plenty of you have already. And subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 20,000 subs. We're very close to reaching 17k. I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.